All right, so we're tackling a big one today.
Hmm.
How to unlock some serious financial aid for higher education. You know that thing that's standing between you and like a mountain of student loan
I
debt?
like where your head's at. And, well, you've come to the right place. We're taking a deep dive into the FAFSA today, which a lot of people, they think it's just about loans, but it's way more than that.
Okay, now you've got my attention. It's not every day someone promises to, like, help you avoid student loans. So tell me, what is the FAFSA really all about?
The FAFSA, or, free application for federal student aid, it's like this magic key. It unlocks all these financial aid possibilities, like we're talking grants, scholarships, even work-study programs. Think of it like free money for school.
Did you say free money? Okay, you've got my full attention now, but where do we even begin? I see some stuff here about a website, USA.gov. Is that the official source for all things FAFSA?
Absolutely, and you're right to point that out. When it comes to something as important as financial aid, you want to make sure you're going to the official source. And yeah, USA.gov, that's the one. That's how you make sure you're getting good information, accurate, up-to-date, all that.
Yeah, totally. I definitely don't want to fall for any, like, shady scholarship scams out there.
Yeah.
But why is the FAFSA so important? Is it really the be-all and end-all when it comes to financial aid?
Think of it like the control panel for your financial aid.
Yeah.
It's the main application you use to get federal student aid.
Hmm.
And that's like the biggest source of financial help out there. And here's something interesting. A lot of states, even individual colleges, they use the information from your FAFSA to figure out their own aid packages on top of the federal aid.
Whoa, so it's even more important than I thought. It's like this gatekeeper to all sorts of financial aid possibilities. No wonder everyone keeps bringing up. Speaking of important stuff, deadlines. Those are always a bit crucial. What's the deal for the 2024-25 school year?
Big day to remember, June 30, 2025. That's the federal deadline to submit your FAFSA. But, and this is a big but, lots of states have their own deadlines, and get this, sometimes they're even earlier than the federal one.
Oh, wow. I had no idea. See, this is why I love these deep dives. I would have totally missed that. So is there a way to, like, check those specific dates? I don't want to miss anything.
Don't worry, we've got you covered. USA.gov, they have this super helpful link. It's got all the deadlines for each state. Total lifesaver when it comes to staying organized.
This is great. I love it when we uncover these little hidden gems.
Oh, and there are more gems where that came from.
Sure.
Before we even get into the nitty-gritty of filling out the FSA, you'll need to get yourself an FSA ID.
An FA ID. Okay, sounds kind of official. What is that exactly?
Basically, it's like your key to the FAFSA world. You use it to sign your application electronically, and then you can access all your financial aid stuff online. You need it to submit the FSA and manage any aid you get.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. It's like the essential tool. You need it for the whole process, right?
Exactly. And speaking of the whole process, let's talk about, actually filling out the FSA. Might seem kind of daunting at first, but honestly, it's not as bad as you think. The key is just to be prepared.
Oh, preparedness is like my middle name, or it should be. What kind of things should I like gather up before I even think about tackling this application?
So before you even open up the application, make sure you've got your Social Security number, your tax returns, bank statements, all that good stuff, any information about your finances, have it all handy. Seriously, having everything organized beforehand makes the whole thing way smoother.
Got it. Organization is key. Okay, so say I've channeled my inner organization guru, right? Gathered all my documents. I've bravely conquered the FSA. Now what? Do I just hit submit and like hope for the best? Hitting submit on any application always feels like, stepping into the unknown. So what happens after you send it off? Is it just like a black hole?
Not quite a black hole, but it definitely starts a journey. You can actually track the status of your application online. No need to wait and wonder. And you can even make corrections if you need to, which is a lifesaver because, we all make mistakes.
Oh, that's good to know. I can totally see myself like leaving out a decimal point or something. But once it's submitted, what happens to all that information? I mean, besides, determining if I get financial aid or not.
Well, that's where things get really interesting. Turns out your FAFSA data, it doesn't just disappear. Remember how we were talking about states using the FAFSA to figure out their own aid programs? It's even bigger than that. Some states are using that data to help shape like education policy on a much wider scale.
Wait, really? I always thought the FAFSA was just for individual students. How does it play into like the bigger picture of education policy?
Think of it this way. Every time someone submits a FAFSA, that's a piece of data. And when you put all those pieces together, you start to see these patterns, these trends. And states can then use that data to see which areas need more attention, like where people are struggling to afford college.
So it's like the FAFSA is giving them this like inside look into how affordable college really is. That's actually really cool. Can you give me an example? Like, how could a state use that data to make a real difference?
Absolutely. Let's say a state is looking at its FSA data, and they notice that there aren't a lot of applications coming in from students in rural areas compared to students who live in cities, right?
Mm,
That might mean that they need more outreach programs, to reach those rural students, or maybe even special scholarships just for them.
right, that makes sense. Instead of just guessing, they can look at the data and see where the needs are. So it's like the FAFSA is this treasure trove of information that can help shape the future of education.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows how everything is connected. You filling out your FAFSA, along with thousands of other students, that all adds up to this big pool of data. And that data can actually drive positive change in education.
That's amazing. It's like this ripple effect. Like your individual action can have a much wider impact. I bet most people don't realize that, their FAFSA could actually influence like policy decisions.
You're right. It's easy to get caught up in the stress of filling out forms and meeting deadlines. But it's important to remember that bigger picture.
It definitely is. And it makes you realize how important it is to fill out the FAFSA accurately.
Exactly. Every little detail matters. Now, before we move on to some final tips for navigating this whole financial aid world, I wanted to share a story with you. It's about a student who benefited from a state program. So there was this student, we'll call her Sarah, and she was like this close to giving up on college altogether just because of the financial burden.
Oh, I know that feeling. It's like you're right there at the finish line, and then you realize, wait a minute, I can't actually afford this.
Exactly. And she'd filled out the FAFSAs and everything, but it wasn't looking like it was going to be enough.
Oh no. So what happened? Did she find a way to make it work?
Here's the thing. She dug a little deeper, and buried somewhere on her state's financial aid website, there was this scholarship program specifically for students studying environmental science. And guess what? That was like her passion.
Wow. So it's like the FSA, it was like this bridge, it connected her to a scholarship she didn't even know existed. That's incredible.
Totally. And get this, the program was funded through a mix of state money and private donations. And they actually used, you guessed it, FSA data to find potential applicants.
Wow, that's amazing. I bet that was life-changing for her.
It totally was. She ended up getting a full ride to her dream school, all because of that state program.
Mhm.
And, it all started with her taking the time to fill out the FSA and just like really explore all the options.
That is so inspiring. It just goes to show there really is help out there. Even if you don't know where to look at first, you really just got to like roll up your sleeves and dig a little deeper.
You got it. The FAFSA is that crucial first step, but it's not the only one. Don't be afraid to look into those state-specific programs, see what you can find. You never know.
This has been, wow, such an eye-opening deep dive. I feel like we've learned so much more than just how to fill out a form. It's like we've uncovered this whole hidden power of the FAFSA, from how it can actually influence like policies to how it can connect students with like literally life-changing opportunities.
And don't forget about asking for help.
Mm.
If you're feeling stuck, reach out to your school's financial aid office. Or, you know what? There are some awesome online resources out there, too. You don't have to do this alone.
Absolutely. There are people out there whose entire job is to help students succeed. So, to our listeners out there, remember, knowledge is power, organization is key, and never be afraid to ask for help. You got this.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us as we explored the sometimes confusing world of financial aid and the power of the FSSA. Until next time, happy learning. Thank you.